So we're just screaming for our mums. No, we're just being dragged away from our mother. No reasoning for it. Put into a car, crying and screaming, manhandled, dragged into a car, and drove away. A couple of miles down the road into this Dyson Hall. When we land in there, it's just like the police are treating us bad. Exactly the same. I don't know, I try and capitalise on the back of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got that sort of notorious streak to you, you can influence the mind of the youth a bit more. So as long as the media keep on calling me this notorious gangster type individual, it's going to influence the mind of the youth, or who are all seem to be caught up in wanting to be gangsters.
You're watching On the Edge. I'm investigations editor at The Express, Zak Garner-Purkis. I'm here with anti-gangs activist Darren Gee. How you doing?
Sounds like nice to be here, mate.
So the first one I wanted to jump in with, which is a little bit different, which is that, like, when you put your name into Google, it comes up with sort of like the story of you and your brother. And then when I started like doing my research into you, it kind of seemed like it was a bit of a myth. So I kind of wanted to just dive in on that and sort of get your take.
What do you mean a myth?
Like that it was like it's called, sort of put forward these two brothers that sort of just
like,
run this
like
part.
Darren and Danny Gee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just nonsense, mate. So I think they just used that as a way of stigmatising my type of individual, you know, making us come across more dominant and powerful than what we normally are. So for years we've had Darren and Danny Gee, and when we were kids it was like Ronnie and Reggie Cray, Darren and Danny Gee, and it was sort of the similar, you know, two violent brothers, and it was that sort of reputation, if you like, that started.
So when did that spark up? Because from what you were saying, it was only a couple of years that
We've only had a couple of, that's what I mean. Right through our childhood, we're separated, different care homes. Then we go into the prison system, not allowed in the prison system together. So I got out in 2019, 2020 with Danny for 2 years. And that's all that is. Me and Danny committed trial for 2 years or something.
So what do you make of it when you see all those pieces about the two brothers and the, like...
I don't know, I try and capitalise on the back of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got that sort of notorious streak to you, you can influence the mind of the youth a bit more. So as long as the media keep on calling me this notorious gangster type individual, it's going to influence the mind of the youth, or who are all seem to be caught up in wanting to be gangsters.
Yeah. What's your relationship like with your brother then?
With Danny, I haven't spoken to him for years. Spoke to him when I first got out of prison in 2016. Told him what was what. Decide what side of the fence you're on. He chose to remain with his boys. So, see you later.
Yeah.
I'm living this life. You can stay in that life.
Yeah. And so, starting up, you're obviously from Liverpool. Yeah. Like, talk me through, like, growing up in...
Well, we're just mum, dad, 5 sons. Dad worked in London on the roofs. So we'd be gone majority of the month and then come back with his wages, get drunk, back to work. That was basically it. We were living on this place called Tommy White Gardens, which was like a big complex for council houses, 4 deep, 4 balconies. They were all over the country years and years ago, but they knocked it down, moved us onto the Grisdale estate, which was a new housing estate, and that's where we developed notoriety, if you like.
And it was quite a few brothers, all of you together,
yeah,
right?
There's 5 of us. There's my older brother, Billy, me, Danny, Stephen and Ian.
And it was quite rough, like...
Yeah, the estate was just council estates, loads of families, majority of them single parents. So it was just, every council estate's rough. And you've got to, like in our house, you know, it was first up, best dressed. You know, you're having a fight of a morning for the best trainees sort of thing. So... everywhere's rough. Doesn't matter what council estate you come from. Everything's harsh.
Yeah. And like as boys, like what I understand, you got split apart quite a lot, like growing up through your childhood and whatnot.
Well, me and Danny got dragged into care. So we got dragged into care around 12. And then that was us, finished. Lost to the system, basically.
Because I've seen that you've said that like going into care is like going into prison.
It is. It's the equivalent of... So you'll have YOYs for teenagers. You'll have adult prisons for adults, cons, and then you'll have the care system for young prisoners, basically.
And what do you think that like that did to you psychologically from like going into that system or like becoming like institutionalized, or I don't know how you would
That's
say.
basically what it does to you, because they strip you down, literally.
How do you, what like
The
physically,
minute you
mentally?
go in, you're stripped, physically and mentally, if you like, and then left in a room. So when we went into Dyson Hall, we got dragged away from. Danny had burned our house down when we were kids, and because he burned the house down, there was nowhere else to stay, so we got lodged everywhere. So we got split up as kids. Me and Danny ended up in a place called Lantry House with my mother, which was like a domestic abuse hostel for women and kids. So we ended up in there, started misbehaving in there, smashed a few windows, which made the police turn up with social services and take us to Dyson Hall in Verzachley.
And do you remember, like, because sounds quite chaotic, did you just like sort of adapt with it and roll with it? Did that just become like your normal? Yeah.
Fought it every step of the way, mate. Never adapted to it, never accepted it, fought it.
And do you think that was just within you, or did you just like develop that?
I don't know, it's where we've been raised. So when we went into this Dyson Hall, it was men again beating us up.
And those were the people that worked there?
Yeah. So we're just screaming for our mums. No, we've just been dragged away from our mother. No reason for it. Put into a car, crying and screaming, manhandled, dragged into a car, and drove away a couple of miles down the road into this Dyson Hall. When we land in there, it's just like the police are treating us bad, exactly the same.
Do you think back a lot on those times, or like how do you process it more now and think back and go, some of the stuff that happened was mad?
You can't ignore it. You know, it's trauma. You don't forget trauma.
Was there a particular time that you started to then process that, or that made you think about it?
When I was about 29 years of age, in prison. That's when I started really going over my life, how it was.
And what was it that sparked it? Was it just being in prison, or was it something?
It's just in prison you've got a lot of time. Outside, when you're in the life I was in, gang life, your mind's altered every single day through drugs. So you're not thinking straight. Doesn't matter how clever you think you are. Doesn't matter how you think you're thinking, how straight you think you're thinking. You're not, because your mind's full of a substance from the minute you wake up, cannabis, to the minute you go to sleep. So all your decision making's wrong. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Like, are you trying to? Like, is that just because you're dampening the madness of what you're involved in?
You're medicating yourself right through your life. You don't understand it. So you've got loads of lads now on the estates, 15, 16, 17, highly stressed off the environment, of what's going on in the area that they're getting raised in. They're highly stressed and they need substances to remain stable in this environment they're in. And that's why you've got loads of kids turning to cannabis, not understanding that they're self-medicating themselves.
And is that like, do you remember getting into that and feeling better because you were doing that yourself?
No, it weren't like that when I got into weed. I got into weed through, I got expelled from school at 13. So first year seniors in school got expelled, which left me on the streets. And the kids that I was associating with normally, they're all in school. So now I'm on the streets by myself, and the only people on the streets are the lads that's already left school. And they're 19, 20, smoking weed, dealing the drugs. I'm 13, lingering around these. Before you know it, they've given me some cannabis, Moroccan black, smoked a spliff of it, went white, went sick. And then that was sort of my initiation into smoking drugs.
And like, so you're out of school at 13 and then you're like mixing with older people. Like you hear a lot of stuff these days about like grooming, and it's always interesting to
Back then it wasn't grooming.
Yeah.
Now
How
it's
do you see
grooming.
it now? Yeah.
Now it's grooming, yeah.
And like, do you think like, was it as cynical? Because with grooming, it's like got connotations. Like, do you see it as that now? or not?
Well, I weren't groomed, I was led.
Okay.
So it's different. They call it grooming now just to try and deter adult drug dealers from using young drug dealers. That's why they call it grooming. That's the only reason. There's no grooming there at all, mate.
Yeah.
You know, there's lads, mum on smack, dad in prison, got no food, got no clothes, and they go to the big brothers on the estate, which are the lads I need money. Well, you're not getting money for nothing.
Yeah, and I guess what's interesting because like the environments that you've been put in, that is like that's like logically the thing to
That's
do.
the only employable career you've got for most of the lads. So on an estate like mine, you've got 100 youth. 60% of them are going to deal drugs.
And do you remember like, because like, did it progress? Like, how was it? So it starts off of like, you just start doing a couple, like, what is it? Just like...
No, so we had a joint,
Yeah.
which was given to me. And then every time there was weed there, I was asking for weed. So now I'm dependent on the weed.
Mm.
And now, get a spliff. All right, well, shoot down there for me. Come back, get me spliff. And that's a little version of what comes. You know, instead of going down the shop for skins and cigarettes for a spliff in 6 months' time, you're taking that firearm down to there for him for an ounce. So now you're dependent on the weed and like you're doing anything you can to get the weed, and the adults take advantage of that.
And do you remember, like, did you catch yourself on at any point and be like, this is a bit mad, like what I'm getting into? Or is it just like, does it do slowly bit by bit?
There was loads of times.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
But there's no options for you.
Tell me about
especially when you've got a criminal record.
Have you got an example of like one time where you sort of caught yourself on, you were like, that was a bit mad, what just happened?
Oh, I thought you meant like trying to come away from it.
Yeah, well, or like that as well.
So off my first jail sentence, I got 15 months detained at the age of 14. So 15 months detained is you're sentenced to 15 months, do the full 15 months. So it was a harsh sentence. First time in custody, it got 15 months, and it was the worst experience of my life. And when I've left that prison, I went straight to the army recruitment office at the age of 16 and they me off.
Really? Wow.
Got a criminal record and I'm only 16. You had to be 18 and you couldn't have a criminal record. So,
do you think that could have been a different path?
Oh, definitely. Straight away. I would have been gone for 30 years in the armed forces if they would have let me in. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I was gone in crime for 30 years.
It's crazy, actually, because I actually met a guy who, he basically the same thing happened, but he went into the army, SAS, now he works private security, you know, completely different
So
path.
He got the opportunity to get in. I didn't. He ended up good. I ended up bad.
Yeah.
Well, not bad, but bad-natured, if you like.
Yeah. So then, like, well, tell me about some of the other moments when you tried to, or like what sparks it. So obviously being inside for that first time, but what were some of the other?
I don't know. The real time I sat down and contemplated about how much my life was in prison when I was doing my 18-year prison sentence. I think it was about seven years into it, and I got put onto this course. Well, there was a course available for anyone to apply for called it was a victim awareness course. It was called the Sycamore Tree. So it was like a Christian charity based, coming to the prison and ran this course. And during that course, I'd never experienced or been told or known about something called a ripple effect. And in that course, they showed us like a practical version of the ripple effect, which was basically a big bucket in the middle of the room. And you had a victim of crime from outside, so a woman who'd had the house burgled or something. And what she done, she dropped a stone into this pool, and it rippled out. And then they explained where the stone is the initial crime, and then the ripples are other people and other communities that are indirectly affected by that crime. So it was that just switched on, made me start going back to my childhood a little bit, realising that I'm not this nasty, violent. Because as a kid, I'm kind, loving, nothing nasty about me. It's the environment that started poisoning my energy and making me horrible, if you like.
Was there anything, like, were there any specific things that you thought of when you thought of that ripple effect that you reflected on?
Everything, every crime I'd ever committed. Like, when I was committing crime, it was just, I target you, that's it. One victim, done, I'm off. When in reality, your mum, your sisters, your neighbours, everyone feels the effects of it. So when you understand the impact that you can create negatively, you also understand that you can create the same sort of impact positively. So a ripple effect can come from a negative, but it can come from a positive. So me screaming, choose a life, not a knife, ripples. So it basically educated me on how to, instead of making that ripple effect off a violent situation, I can make the same ripple effect off a very positive, motivational situation.
Yeah. And why do you think it was like 7 years in that you had that? Before that, were you just kind of getting involved in the madness in prison?
No, I was just crying. Even when I went into jail, in my mind, this is my life for the next so many years. Just live accordingly.
Yeah.
But I went on that course and it gives you a victim woman came in, she's crying. So it sort of, I don't know, it sort of rips you open, you know, when you've got a bit of clarity, when you're out of the way, you're off drugs, you're in prison, you're educating yourself again. You've just got a more clear vision of where you've been and where you're going.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, I guess that like as you were going up, you must have been seeing and experiencing like stuff that was quite strong, and like for other people that might have been a turning point. But did it just get normalized with you and whatnot?
I don't know. We were violent before we became money orientated criminals. So we were just violent brothers,
just fighting with each other, and
not with anyone.
Yeah.
So we had a reputation for violence before we tapped into drug dealing.
And what was it? Why was there then that shift that like to the money oriented? Was it just like you see other people?
We were doing too much jail,
right?
So we were burgling off licenses, public houses, you know, commercial properties to make our money, and we'd go to jail every year on remand out. And while we're doing that, the little rats on the estate who were selling drugs were never going to jail and having a nice cars, nice watches always out. So we didn't tap into drug deal until we were 21.
And it was just like, that was a logical thing to do, right?
It was less jail, more money. So,
and what, like, did it?
So once we tapped into the drug dealing aspect, then people recognise the violence.
I see.
When we're just violent doing our thing, yeah, everyone's shook, but we're not making money. Now we're making money, everyone's shook, including old school.
And was it like, were you then the sort of the crazy young kids on the like that had come onto the scene that were shaking things up, or how was it?
No, but we were always on the scene.
Yeah,
we were never drug dealing. So
you're just moving into their territory.
We were always on the scene, so we damaged drug dealers, but it wouldn't be over drugs.
I see.
So we're just like be violent towards certain people in the area, but it was never to do with dealing drugs. Now we're stepping into the drug world and making money. It just makes us a lot more powerful because the money's there now. So you can have dangerous, violent individuals who are not powerful because they've got no money, basically.
It's interesting because I think I heard you say one thing about like with drug dealing, the people that are at the top, like that's the easy part.
And that's the easy life.
You were involved
where I was. That's the difficult part of drug dealing.
Talk to me, like what would be a day to day in that life, like where you're dealing at the bottom to hand.
It depends how it. Well, I started my drug dealing. I started it. So when I started it, it was me on a pedal bike with my phone, pedaling all over the place, seeing people with addictions, giving them the substance. As we go on, people start getting jealous and envious of you. So you start attracting other groups, dominant groups from the area. The majority of them are older because all the kids your age are shit scared of you. These aren't saying nothing to us, but the older lot were saying something to us.
So are these like middle-aged guys then?
Yeah, now they're moaning at us because we're starting to lock graft down in their area that they've always had locked down, which is causing us problems. So now they can't eat, they can't get the dough in, we're taking it. So it causes friction.
How do you deal with that? Because that's
violence.
Yeah. But is it like, do you have to be smarter about it, or is it just?
You'd have to now because most drug dealers snitch on you. So you've got to be smart about it. When I was growing up, no drug dealer snitch on you.
Mm.
So you can just move to him, deal with him, and not worry about the feds. Now, you scream at a drug dealer, he's snitching on you.
It's interesting because I've seen a thing about the police in Liverpool will basically like let them get on with it and just sort of...
That's what they've always done,
Mm.
unfortunately. See, what they started doing was arresting groups, and they were getting 2 and 3 years. And the police weren't happy like that in Merseyside. So they'd have a group under observation, and they'd let them get away with 4 or 5 shootings. So they'll let them shoot that house up. They'll let them shoot that car up. But they won't arrest him in the first 6 months of him going off as Barney. They'll leave him because they don't want him with a little 5 years. They want double figures or life sentences. So they'll sit back, let these 2 groups shoot at each other's houses. Eventually a girl will get hit. Eventually a mother's house will get done. And then a fatality. Then police come in, shut it down, take about 18 kids off the streets, double figures, life them off, and then let the next generation kick right back into that space, start a little tit for tat, goes off its cake, fatality, 2 years later, bang. Now, if you look in every city, that's what they're doing now. They'll let an organised crime group run for 2 years till there's a fatality, wound them all up and life them off.
Yeah, it's interesting because...
And it's not like, you know, that is how they're doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, like, obviously you're seeing that in Liverpool. Like,
umpteen times. I keep on screaming at the lads now. You're going to have your little 2-year reign, then you're getting lifed off, pack it in. And that's what they do every 2 years. They'll bring the next generation in to fill the space, let them run, and then take them off.
Do you think that's getting, like, missed in terms of, obviously, the main narrative is it's these crime groups that are destroying the neighbourhoods, but like, do you think the police's role in letting that happen needs to be?
Yeah, they have done for years, mate. Yeah, for years and years in Liverpool. They've worked alongside the gangsters in Liverpool, the police.
How do you mean?
There was an understanding in Liverpool years ago between the police and the hierarchy, the gangsters, like the families. There used to be families, and the understanding was, you keep the streets sweet, we'll leave you alone. So these big families years ago wouldn't give the kids guns. Only certain people get access to narcotics. And it would move like that. There'd be no shootings all over the city because this big family have been given permission to control the city, basically. What they done, they went out, took all them families out, and this is what you see now. No control, no order, no nothing.
And so when did you enter that space? Like, what was the point?
Well, yeah, I entered that space, got out of jail for threats to kill on a screw. Went to jail for threats to kill on a screw in Walton.
In prison?
So I'm in prison on charges. Get acquitted on them charges, but whilst I'm in there, I've threatened to screw. I'm being given 18 months prison for it. So now I get out on that, and I just start, just got my phone, got my bike, bang, dropped into it, in and out of jail. A group who was older than us, didn't like us, well, started moaning about us making money in their area off drugs and started coming after us. Normally everyone in the city ran away from these people and backed down from these people, but me and Danny went, yeah, we'll have it with you then.
And when they're coming for you, what type of stuff are they doing to send a message? Intimidation?
Kidnapping mates, shooting them in the knees, slashing throats, burning houses down, just trying to get at us, so...
And what, like...
You've got to retaliate you don't retaliate with the same level. You've got to retaliate with the level above, meaning violence.
And did you just always know, like, you were just, like, you were going to stand up, like, you weren't going to back down?
Yeah, we didn't back down to no one, mate. No one. And that's why they hated us. Because everyone else would just go, okay, yes, sir, no, sir, but we go, who do you think is on?
And do you think, like, that's why, like, the name of you and your brother, like, is what it is because of that sort of moment where you faced them down?
I don't know where the name comes from. I blame the name and the notoriety on the local media outlet.
So were they getting fed stuff then? Probably
Liverpool Echo. So basically, we was known on our estate. That's all we were known on our estate. The Gee brothers, just on our estate, our little L5 area. That's where we were known. And then we do something, And then Liverpool Echo puts us on the front page. Boom, the Gee brothers. Now, there's loads of other brothers in the city doing 10 times worse. But the label on us, the Gee brothers. So from an early age, the Cray twins, the Gee brothers, same sort of, building this thing up that we're not.
Because it's the story, I guess.
They're building the story up, but it's not just one. Now it's coming thick and fast every month from the line, the G's, the G's, the G's, the G's. So now, instead of us just being known in L5, we're known everywhere the paper's published, which is the whole of Merseyside.
And does that make you a target then?
No, it just makes us more known, more notorious.
Okay. Do you have people then that are they see that and then they want to get in?
You get all that. Yeah. You get the people that are just bending on to make money, bending on because you've got that fearful reputation in the area. You get loads of associates that just linger. And then when it's the fan, they just disappear.
Yeah. What do you make of that, like, that sort of, all of that attention now that you look back on it? Because by the sound of it, it's like, seems quite cynical, like what they were doing.
They're still doing it now.
Yeah.
The same paper is still doing it now. So they'll still call me ex-gangster. When I'm not an ex-gangster, it's obvious I'm not an ex-gangster. Know what I mean?
How would you like to be known?
Darren Gee.
Yeah.
Just like any other normal kid, So I've got 4 brothers. Well, one's hung himself, Billy. But the other ones, whilst I've gone to jail, they're still out developing crack addicts. So that they've got crack addictions now. So when they're out there, they're causing murder. I'm in jail doing an 18-year sentence, but every time Danny or Stephen done something, my name would go in the paper. So I'm meant to be out of sight, out of mind, getting me jail done, get out the other side, no one hardly knows me. But the paper have made me relevant right through my prison sentence by mentioning me every time my brothers got caught. And now I've been out for 8 years. I've been in that Liverpool Echo twice a year. And I'm not even committing crimes.
And there's obviously people in Liverpool that's like they're doing stuff right now, right?
Yeah, there's naughty people in Liverpool doing dangerous, nasty stuff. But they throw the G's on the front page.
Because it's an easier target, I guess.
It's just a name. It brings a lot of traffic, and now most media outlets are tapping onto social media. So when you throw my name on social media, it gets a lot of traffic. So Liverpool Echo are just like every other one, and they're speaking about the G's on their TikTok. So it's just horrible. But I can only do what I'm doing, mate. I had a reputation. This is the way I think of it. I can get shot dead tomorrow, and if I would have been in that life still, I would have been shot dead, gangster Darren Gee, shot dead. That was it, gone. If I get shot dead tomorrow now, with what I've been doing for the past 8 years, it'll be anti-gang activist Darren Gee, shot dead, while raising awareness about choose a life, not a knife. So if I do get shot dead, I'm getting shot dead with the correct reputation in place instead of just going in the grave with some dirty reputation.
Is that risk still there? Like, Why? Because there's still just people with issues.
So choose a life, not a knife. So I've got out of jail, and all them millionaires. So in 2004, someone started to kill me on the 6th of April, and they were like 45-year-old millionaires. I'm 23, 24. They didn't like how we were taking over, so they tried to get rid of us. On them, they killed a young kid, Craig. I've gone into jail. Got out of jail the other side. I started screaming, choose a life, not a knife. Now, initially, it was to do with self-harming. Stop me from taking my own life. So I was convinced it could stop others from taking their own life. As I'm doing this, all of a sudden, loads of knife crime kicked in. And with the saying, choose a life, not a knife, it just fell into that area of awareness. So choose a life, not a knife is now targeting self-harming and knife crime. As I'm going through this, it goes on to, because I know all these kids that are carrying knives, 14, 15, 16, every single one of them will eventually want a firearm. It's the progress, it's the process, knife. And as soon as one of the boys on the estates gets access to a firearms, all these with the knives are back to square one again. So they need a gun. So we started screaming about gun crime and all drug dealing. And as I've been going on about drug dealing, gun crime, I've always entered into the world of organised crime groups. And that's where I've been sat now with Choose a Life, Not a Knife, exposing organised crime groups in the city of Liverpool. You know, the people that hide murderers like Cashman who killed Olivia Corbell. You know, above him, you've got organised crime groups. And that's where I'm at now, screaming and shouting about all these rats. So because I'm screaming about all these that no one's willing to speak about, no one's willing to put it on the toes, they're trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So I've had 2 attempts now. I had since I've been released from custody, I've had 2 attempts on me.
What happened?
So on the 18th of March, so I get out on 216, 21st of June. I'm on licence for 18 months. As soon as my licence conditions finished, I go straight to Liverpool. So on the 21st of December, my licence conditions finished and I go straight into Liverpool, go to my mum's, and within 3 months, someone's come to me my step, tried to shoot me dead. So I've been decorating a flat. I'll just run through it. Decorating a flat with some kid who thought I could trust. This kid has got me to my mum's step at this particular time, knowing I was going to be shot dead. I've got there, which is my mum's step. I've gone in my house. The kid who set me up's gone out before me and got in a taxi. The gunmen thought he was me and pounced on the kid that set me up. Started shooting him with 2 firearms while he sat in the taxi. I've come out the door on the doorstep and seen it going on. Screamed at them, they've ran away. And that was it. And then 6 weeks later, they came back.
What, and then tried
to shoot me again, but ended up shooting some old fella's house on the estate. You know, ricocheting bullets everywhere and that. And this is what I'm dealing with. And then they burnt my apartment down. So then I was homeless. And that's why I had to move to Birmingham. Because I was homeless. The only place I could find was in Birmingham. And I've been there since.
Do they still send you threats on social and all
of
that?
All the time, mate.
Yeah. They're
shutting me social medias down. They're trying to assassinate me character, question me honesty, you know, because so what they done first of all, they went out and said, they used one of their little horrible drug dealers to go out and say I'd been arrested and charged with raping a 12-year-old girl. I hadn't, but they'd used this little rat to go on his live feed where thousands were watching and shout that out. So instantly overnight, I'm a nonce. And they done that to assassinate me character and damage me from getting into schools. So I'm going into schools, speaking to headmasters about going into assembly, speaking about Choose Life, Not a Knife. The minute they scream this out, everyone just shut the door on me. So now I'm running around like a nonce. It's weird, mate. So I got through that. Everyone knows I'm not that way inclined. So I got through that. So now, because I'm speaking truth on everyone, they start saying, oh, his mental health's gone. You can't believe he's yeah, you know, having people thinking that I'm lying, trying their hardest to discredit what I'm saying about these groups, and they haven't stopped.
Because they're like, can you give a sense in terms of the power that these people have as well?
The power these people have got. You can be arrested with 100 grand's worth of swag, and they can make a phone call and get you de-arrested. That's the power they've got.
And do you think, because a lot of people don't realise that this kind of stuff goes on in the UK, do they? Or that they don't realise that these things happen?
It happens in every council. In every single council up and down this country, you have got backhanders. Whether it's for planning permission, whether it's to have a licence for this club, all these sorts of stuff, there's backhanders all over the gaff for them. And in Liverpool, you've got heads of organised crime groups being given bar licences to open clubs. You know, these are known on every intelligence computer in the police station that houses Liverpool that he is a head of an organised crime group. How's the council giving him a licence, a public, you know, to open a club, an alcohol licence? And this is how just little backhanders all over the gaff.
And that wealth is built on drugs and yeah.
Like most of the property in the city centre of Liverpool right now, most of the apartment blocks that's being built in the whole of Liverpool, not just the city centre, 60% of them a drug dealer's money.
Wow. And like, do you think you're in a position to sort of call this stuff out? Because like, who else?
No one else is willing to do it. No one else is willing to stand on a pedestal and scream, "You dying drug dealing scumbags. You aren't getting away with it no more." Just look at your estates. Do you understand what I'm saying? Look at the gun crime on your estates. Look at the violence on your estates. Look at the broken down families on your estates. Look at the men and women who have got addictions. They were sisters, brothers and children of someone before they established that drug addiction. Drugs is the biggest impact on our estates, and it's doing the most damage, and it's causing the most violence. It's causing fatalities. It's causing suicide. Everything. The drug dealers are responsible for the majority of the crime in your city. 80% of violent crime is at the hands of your organised crime groups.
And do you think, because it did seem when the Olivia Pratt-Korbel, like that could be a moment where stuff opened up, but it was never going to happen.
There's too many people living off crime in Liverpool.
Yeah, because it was like, because obviously that was just so shocking, because it was just, and for what you say, it's like it wasn't a new thing to happen.
Look, we had a moment like this when little Rhys Jones was murdered. You know, another young lad on his way to football. Sean Mercer let a shot off for someone down there. The bullet ricocheted right through young Rhys. He died. That should have been a turning point. But the organised crime groups, they're the only ones that can turn this point, if you like. It's them that's handing all the firearms down. It's them that's giving people permission to graft these drugs. It's them that's distributing it to them. It's them at the top that are responsible for that's going on at the bottom, basically.
And like, what do you think of like the police or the NCA or whoever like should be the ones going in and tackling this stuff?
Yeah. I'm going to put it. They're just inadequate. They're inadequate. They're not the whole justice system is now, mate. They haven't been able to do nothing with drug dealers. That's why I started drug dealing. You know, that's why you've got hundreds of drug dealers now, because they're not getting caught. It's simple as that. Like I said earlier on, we came from your burglaries, your robberies into drug dealing because we knew we wouldn't get caught. And we never got caught drug dealing.
And do you think like if that option wasn't available, it wouldn't have escalated, or like you wouldn't have ended up where you did?
What do you mean? Like
if you hadn't gone into drug dealing because you knew, if you'd have kept getting arrested for stuff, and like when you gone into drug dealing you kept getting arrested, no,
the crime would have just got more severe, basically. You know, more calculated. Because we started off impulsive violence as we're growing up, and then we got into the mindset of instrumental violence.
And just going on to like, you were involved in like a pretty notorious like tit for tat, or like one of the ones that like the media focused a lot on. What's it like to like live through that, like mentally? Like, how do you deal with that if you're after someone and they're after you? Like, are you emotional about it? Do you have to be like super detached? Like, how does it?
Depends if you've got experience, mate.
How did you go for it? Or like, what was your
first time? We've had conflict with quite a few people. So the first time, it's just impulsive and emotional. Second time, it's a little bit impulsive but not emotional. So third time, it's calculated.
So when you saw, like, when you had someone murdered next to you, that was, at what stage were you at, like, emotionally with that? Were you detached from it? Was it, I mean, because obviously it's a horrific thing to live through.
What do you mean, at the time of the incident or afterwards? What are you on about?
Like both, I guess, like how that incident affected you, and then when it's like, because it was part of a tit for tat, like where were you in the journey you just described?
Not giving up. Whatever happens, sort of mentality. That's where you get to when you war's no good for anyone. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, legal or... So if you've got a war in the world, it's going to with your money. You got a war on your streets, it's going to with your money. So me and you having conflict is not good for us because we're not making money. So what would happen is we'd have the graft, and then we'd also have a war chest, and that's what we call it, a war chest. So every week, when we'd get the wages in, we'd bang £1,000 or 1,500 quid into the war chest, and it wouldn't get touched. It'd just be left over there in the corner. And then we'd have conflict with my man over there. We'd take 5 ton out of there, give it to him, go and burn his house. No calculated.
That's like strategic, like what any
That's what I
business
mean.
does,
Yeah. So you'd have your war chest, and instead of your revenue taking a hit, you can just attack the war chest. And if you've got to burn a house, you got to buy some rammers, you got to buy a firearm, you got to get someone killed. All the money will come from your war chest, if you like.
And when you're talking about like not caring, is that you don't care for your own life, or like
you're just caught up? You're getting killed anyway. I was in the mindset of kill or be killed, and that's the way I was for a good couple of years. Kill or be killed, because I've had quite a few attempts on my life, and I knew the police wanted me dead as well. So the normal thing is, so for example, when I was 19, I got a Osman warning. Do you know what Osman warning is?
No. Cool.
So basically, you had this fella by the name of Osman from London somewhere, and the police were watching him, but they were also watching another group, and the police have heard this other group conspiring to kill Osman. The police never told Mr. Osman, and he was killed. So during the inquiry, it all came out. So they established this law, the Osman law. If police are listening to a group and they state that they're going to kill someone, the police have automatically got to go and tell that individual, we've got intelligence, you're going to be killed. And then they go through a process then, offer you, we want to move you out the city, we want to So when 19, they came to me, Mars, they've said, 2 suits, MIT, Major Investigation Team. We've got intelligence that your life's at risk and we think it's imminent. Blah, 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 blah. We're not asked about you. We don't give 2 about you. But as you can see, sat around you got your mum, your nana, and one of your nieces. That's who we're asked about. Do you want protection? No, sign this. Okay, bye. And that's it. They got off. Now, when I've got out of custody in 2016, in 2018, 5 days after they tried to kill me on the 17th of March. So it's out there, 17th of March, 2018. It's all Google it. 5 days after that, they've come with another Osman warning. Now, what they should have done was, right, Darren, this threat is imminent. Bam. We can move you out the city. We can give you a new accommodation. You're not on a snitch thing, not on a protection thing. It's just like standard procedure, what they should do to everyone. But they just me off. Just left me there. Had me on a curfew in the area where I tried to get shot dead 4 days before. Had me signing on. Had me bailed to an address on that estate. That's what I mean. So they put me in and left me there for like a year.
I mean, I guess it's like living in a war zone, or...
It's not like a war zone.
It's not like... What is it like then? Tell me.
It's just an estate with thinking they're mad. And so, look...
But for you personally, living with that threat to your life...
Yeah, so look, I've just been diagnosed with PTSD, right, 2 weeks ago. And I've been waiting for 5 years to get this diagnosis. Now, my PTSD, they're telling me, has come from 3 incidents. I found my brother who shot himself in the head when I was 14. They're saying it's come from that. They're saying it's come from my childhood trauma. And they're saying it's come from the 6th of April when I was sat next to Craig and that SAS gunmans came to kill him. Now, I've got PTSD off that, right? You've got people getting PTSD because they got a slap off the bed, the girlfriend. And then you've got a soldier who's in a theatre of war, who's watched their mates blew to pieces, and they've got real PTSD. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I've been diagnosed with PTSD, but it's not nowhere near the level a soldier's got. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess what's interesting is that a lot of people would still think that like you would you're on a part, like some of the stuff that you've lived through, and living through that everyday tension of knowing that people are going to kill you is not dissimilar to what a soldier.
Yeah, it gives me like extra observation skills. It keeps me on my toes more, but it doesn't prevent me from sleeping. You know, once my front door's closed, I'm at peace. You understand what I mean?
How do you think that you had? Were you always like that? That you could just switch
I've always
off?
been calm. So that was the difference between me and Danny. I was the quiet one. He was the loud one. I was the one that planned. He was the one that acted on the spot.
So he was like more impulsive.
He was impulsive. I was more reserved. You can give me now, and I'll be planning in my head when I'm going to knock at your door in a week. Where you, Danny now, he's punching you.
Yeah, I see.
So that's the difference with me and him.
Like, I guess it's interesting because, but what you're saying, like, it did take its toll on you, on your mental.
Oh yeah, it's definitely took its toll. I'm suffering now. I'm not saying I haven't come out of that life. I'm stuck in that life. Isn't it? I've tried to leave it, but the past doesn't leave you.
Yeah.
So I'm suffering bad right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. I need guidance with me mental health. And I've just been holding it all together for 4 years.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's like with the, like what you're doing and the message that you're trying to put out, is that part of the process?
It's all part of my redemption sort of mindset. I don't want to see a 15-year-old kid going into a system like I did. And then, because they don't just go in at 15 and then learn and not go back. Once they've gone in, they're going back until they're 40 or something. And I'm trying to intervene early and say, look, your drug dealing, your violence, get on this path of life. Because there's only 2 paths of life that your kids have got. We haven't got choices, you know. We get told that we're free and we've got freedom of choice and freedom of this, but you've got no freedom in this prison. This is an open prison. Everything you do is monitored. Everything you want to do, you've got to ask for, unless obviously you're going to the toilet or something like that. The amount of I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say to you, to be honest.
That people are set like that it's hard once like you go in a particular direction. Is that what you
Once you're on that revolving door in and out, it's solid to break. Just the fact that you've went out for an hour and earned £200. Just that. It's hard to break just that alone. Never mind the brotherhood of it, the company. A lot of lads are lonely. And once they join these groups, now they're not lonely. Do you understand? So
was that part of it for you?
No, I just fell into crime. Yeah, I fell into crime because I was lonely. On the streets, out of school, nothing to do, nowhere to go. The only people on the estates was that older lot. So I started loitering around them. Because I'm bored by myself, start being with them, and then you're just caught up in that mess.
Yeah. And like, did you have people that sort of took you under their wing as well and that type of thing?
Well, at a certain age, I'd never really got on with these firms in our area. My big brother hung around with them, but I'd never really got on with them. So I was always like a loner as a kid. And I bumped into, a lot of people know this story. I was going up a road, some girls being hit by a car, flew in the air. She was about 4 or 5, landed on the floor. Everyone's panicking. I've picked her up and took her to her house. The house I took this girl to just happened to be the biggest gangster in Liverpool at that time. So now I've been took under his wing. And then that's where I went for. So when I'm in Dyson Hall, I'm under this gangster's wing.
And I get, being under, did that, do you think that then that affected in terms of like you strategizing rather than acting?
It just made me clever.
Yeah.
Because I'm around, instead of being around the 21-year pot dealer on the estates, I'm now around the 40-year-old millionaire who's running the city. And I'm just in his passenger seat all the time. And then he dies. And then I'm on one. And
I guess that other people knew about that. Did you think that's why they were more scared of you or more concerned?
Well, the person that tried to kill me in 2004 was this fella's partner when I was a kid.
Wow.
Mad that, isn't it?
Well, so what was that? What sparked?
So, basically in 2004, I've started grafting, got myself a little bit of property, got me, so I'm 23, I'm starting to smash things now, made a lot of money. There's a lot of envious people out there getting jealous. Now, when we were just violent, trying to tap into the drug scene, them that had the drug scene locked wouldn't let us. So we couldn't get drugs off no one would give us anything. Do you understand what I mean? So fucking, we established to get our own link, got our own swag, and all these heads started getting jealous. Willie Moore, so the gangster who took me under his wing was called Tommy Gilday, and his partner at the time was a fella called Willie Moore. So when I'm round these, Willie Moore and Tommy, I'm just round them, floating around in the car with them, and then Willie Moore goes behind Tommy's back, drives to Birmingham with 15 kilograms of heroin and gets arrested and gets a 12-year prison sentence or something. Now, in that period, Tommy's died, he's passed on, and we've started grafting, selling drugs, and Willie Moore's got out of jail years later and approached us and said, look, I've got 10 out of 10, meaning 10 out of 10 heroin, like the best heroin around. I can get you this, I can get you that. Bam. So just out of like a little bit of respect, okay, yeah, sound. Get on us in a few days, we'll let you know what's happening with it. But we just jogged him on. Now he's took that as an insult. So now I'm 24 and he's 46. He's a millionaire already, but he's took it as an insult that we're just blanking him and not taking the swag off him because we're happy with this link. So we just started a mad thing with us, started putting his brother, who was 42, and his drug dealers on our estate. And people have been burnt and crippled and all that for this for this graft on the estate. So now we've got these old school gangsters trying to rob our graft. Anyone else would have just bowed down. But we never. We just took it to them. So it got a little bit mad all of a sudden. They've put a car on our estate with their grafters. I've had a phone call, grafters are here, went down. I'll just run through it dead fast because loads of people heard it. Went down, damaged their grafters, upset them. They're on the phone. I meet one of them, weigh him in, off, and then he plot to kill me. So on the 6th of April, I'm in a car with my youngest brother, a mate, and little Craig. And as we're going towards my flat, there's an SAS soldier, Darren Waterhouse, who had been in prison with Willie Moore. Willie Moore had recruited him to kill me. So he's jumped out of the car with a Glock, let a shot off in the passenger seat window, thinking I'm in the passenger seat, because I was always in the passenger. And then ran up, let the shots off. I've told my brother to go. He's let the clutch out too fast, stopped on the spot. The SAS gunman's ran up to the car and got Craig down the sternum, point blank. Working down the sternum, emptied the clip. All them bullets that's gone through him have come out his back, gone into my little brother who was on the driver's seat, and ricocheted round the car and gone into the lad sat next to me. So I'm only one that's not touched. So I get out of the car. When the shooting's happened, I've had to jump out the car, get Craig, push him back in the passenger seat, pick my little brother up off the floor, put him on the back seat. Marks ran, and then got him in the hospital.
And that's like, because obviously that was one of the things that like just...
That was 2004. Yeah. Within a month of that, phone call off Willie Moore. Put this kid in the picture. So we've gone out for David Regan, 3:00 in the afternoon on the 18th of May. Got 2 cars, drove down to a car wash, which was his place of business, and he got killed on the spot. And then 2 weeks later, I go to jail.
Yeah. Because I know that you told that story a lot of times, but like, how do you feel retelling it, or like, how do you view it now? Like, because I mean, most people hear that, and that is like shocking, horrendous stuff. Like, I'm interested in terms of like, how do you feel about it? Like, how does it change every time you tell it? Like the way you feel about it?
It sets inside. What do you mean, like inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's raw as I can remember it, every detail right now. You know, it doesn't go away. Every single detail I can remember exactly right now.
Yeah, man, I guess that's PTSD, isn't it?
I don't know, when it happened, when the shooting happened, everything around me went slow.
Yeah.
So I'm still moving normal in the car, but the bullets are going. All their body movements are dead slow, and I'm moving dead fast in the car.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like all the energy around me just slowed right down, but I was still moving normal.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Is there I mean, because do you feel like that was a defining moment for you?
In what way?
Just, I mean, I guess in your life, because it did send your life into the direction that it's gone now. Like, or I'm putting that on. I mean,
don't know.
How do you view it?
You're right. I'd probably be dead or life's off, you know, for multiple murders. If I hadn't have had that. If you hadn't had that intervention, doesn't matter how you look at it, it was an intervention on someone's account, and I believe it was mine. And I've acted on this, basically. I'm not going to let Craig's name die in vain. I'm not going to sit in a car with a young kid of 18 who's took 9 bullets to his chest, go to jail, come out and continue gangbanging. Nah. I was never like that. Although I can be a violent, I've always been good-natured and do you understand what I'm saying? I've always looked after the olds, always. So, it was horrible, mate. It was proper horrible what happened to that young kid. You know what I mean?
And like, what would be your message to like the young kids that are watching this that may be slipping into that, or that, like, what is the thing that like you try and get across to them?
I tell them straight, choose a life, not a knife. That's it. You know, you can either choose a good life or the knife life. It's entirely up to you. All you've got to do as a young man is look down the 2 roads and look at the lads before you on your estate. What road did they pick? So you had them 5 kids over there in the corner, went down that road of employment, that road of college, that road of education, and you had them other 10 that went down that road of drug dealing, that road of violence. Just look at them. You're not blind. You're not daft. It's all there to see. All you got to do is look. Everyone that's gone down the drug dealing route, everyone that's gone down the knife crime route is either dead, locked in jail, got an addiction, haven't got long-term relation, completely in life. The kids that went down the life path, they've got a bird, they're married, they might have a boyfriend, they're going on holidays, they haven't got to worry about drug dealers kicking the doors in. The life is completely different.
Do you have those moments where you do get through to kids with that?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Mate, over the 8-year period, the amount of messages, I get loads off lads, but the majority of parents.
Yeah. And what is it that they've seen one of your videos, or they just...
The podcasts.
Yeah.
The parents have seen the podcasts. Or it's not just a podcast, actually. It's when I'm doing my live feeds and speaking about an array of things. There's loads of it out there. You know, people record it and put it back up there. And parents are seeing this and then putting the kids in front of it. And it's changing them completely. You know, I've had some boss successful. I don't sit there and all the messages I get that are positive, put on my story or put out there. And people know I'm making a difference because they felt it personally. Do you understand? And they'll talk.
Yeah.
They'll talk about the difference, choose a life, not a knife's making. So I've just got to do what I'm doing. I'm in the firm belief if I get shot dead tomorrow, it's meant to happen. I don't run from death. I don't hide from it. I'm a believer that when it's time to go, it's your time to go. I also believe, mate, wholeheartedly, that I'm being guided with this message, mate. There's a reason why I'm surviving these attempts on my life. There's a reason why I'm still here. And there's a reason why my brain's still intact. I'm not sat here full of addictions like the majority of people that's come from my past. You know, I'm clear cut and I'm here delivering a message to the youth. Whether you've got kids or not, or whether you've got kids on your estate, you've got your smackhead on your estate who's got a little child, the child's running around. If you don't look after that kid, if you don't show him love and care, as that kid grows up, 15, 16, 17, he's going to destroy your life, he's going to destroy your community, and he won't give 2 fucks about you because you haven't cared for him. Trust me when I'm telling you this. Every child on your estate needs your love, care and attention, because if you don't give them it when they're young, they're going to come back hating when they get older.
I think that's a good point to end it.
Samit.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. You've been watching On the Edge. I've had the pleasure of sitting down with Darren Gee. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. A spokesperson for Liverpool City Council said, "We take all allegations of criminal activity very seriously, and any evidence held by your podcast guest should be passed to the police for investigation."